Oh, hello, 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 hello. Status Coup. Jordan in the house, February 8th, 2022. Joined by Steve Grumbine, again, of Real Progressives. Steve, I like to be honest. I like to be honest.
Good idea. What's up?
I'm a little stressed out. A little stressed out. Have you ever experienced, like, in your professional life, like it's a game of whack-a-mole? You're like trying to sit down and do one thing, but you have 75 other things constantly being thrown at you. Uh, uh Booking guests, producing segments, dealing with administrative shit, dealing with bills, dealing with Twitter verification. I mean, literally, it's like I can't sit down and even do journalism because I'm doing all this other shit. And it's going to give me a brain aneurysm. I just wanted to get that off my chest because,
We don't need you to have a brain aneurysm.
yes. So, yeah. So, literally, yeah, I'm just on running on fumes. But anyway, thanks for joining me again, Steve Grumbine of Real Progressives. He was with us yesterday, with us again today. Yeah, we broke a story yesterday on Amazon union busting.
Yeah.
And we got video of Amazon essentially trying to kick out union organizers out of a union busting meeting to try and get those pesky union organizers out of the room so they could just have a direct line to union the non-union people so that they could just push propaganda. Now we have a story of Starbucks actually just firing the union workers.
I read that.
So it gets better. It gets better. Please smash that like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the live stream. The more people that press like, the more people that will see this very live stream. Also, please press the share button so you can share this live stream. If you are a subscriber to Status Coup, old or new, make sure you click that damn bell next to the subscribe button. It's the notification bell because we are really trying to make sure everybody has it set on getting all notifications. So if you at one point had clicked on all notifications, you might not. It might have toggled off. Funny things happen with YouTube where you click all notifications and you look back and no notifications. Isn't that interesting? So make sure you go and have it set on all notifications because we need to make sure you know when we're live. So that would be nice. So, Steve, we got a big show. We're going to talk about these things coming up in a little bit. We're also going to have a guest from Minneapolis, an independent journalist, Georgia Fort, who's been on the ground covering the protests for Amir Locke, who was a 22-year-old black man murdered in Minneapolis. This is after George Floyd, Dante Wright, a couple other names that have been murdered by police in Minneapolis. This killing happened less than 2 years after George Floyd in Minneapolis. And Amir Locke was literally sleeping on a couch when police entered into the apartment he was in with a no-knock warrant, shot him dead in a matter of 7 to 9 seconds. He was also a legal gun owner. So he had a gun with him, but he was licensed to carry that gun. And I don't know if a SWAT team bulldozes into my apartment unannounced and kicks the couch I'm in and I'm asleep. Yeah. So we're going to get to that. But wanted to start, Colin, if you could put up the more perfect union tweet. Breaking. Starbucks has just fired a number of pro-union organizers in its Memphis store, purportedly for a violation of company policies. Starbucks Workers United tells us that it plans to file an unfair labor practice charge with the National Labor Relations Board. More to come. So obviously there's been a lot of momentum, Steve. After the first Starbucks won a union in Buffalo, Status Coup had gone to Buffalo as they were organizing to win that union election. They did win. And now you've had 60 some odd stores file for a union from Starbucks. This Memphis store was one of those stores. Colin, if we could play some of More Perfect Union's video, because More Perfect Union, which is an I guess, worker-oriented outlet. They've covered a lot of these things. They had interviewed people from this Memphis Starbucks about their fight to unionize.
Because they knew you guys were coming today, and because we were having our sit-in and we were speaking to media today, they have closed our store. They're saying it's because, yes. Word got back to the store manager and district manager about that. So today our store was closed. They said it was because of a positive COVID case, but and history has it, we've never closed the store immediately and all day for COVID cases. Usually the store manager and district manager try to find a way to keep that store open for the day, but today we were completely closed. It's completely anti-union. Obviously was a plot and a ploy to stop everything we were trying to do today.
Well, all the more reason not to.
Yes, exactly. So I'm so glad you guys are here. I was gonna buy y'all a coffee. Obviously I can't.
They're desperate, ever since the first store unionized, they did a lot of very cheap, cruel tactics.
Corporate and our district manager and store manager have been trying to stop our pro-union protests. They've been trying to come in and intimidate us.
So right now we have an interim store manager, and now she's bringing in all of her managers and all of her employees to our store, and they're deliberately taking our hours.
I went from working
you could,
35 to 30.
So that is what was going on in that Memphis. That, by the way, they were doing similar things in the lead up to the Buffalo workers winning. They were packing workers like sardines into stores, still during COVID. They were bringing in managers from other Starbucks in other states, and they were cutting hours for the clearly pro-union workers. So let me just read some of the press release. This is from Starbucks Workers United, which is the union. Today, Starbucks corporate fired almost the entire union organizing committee at the Poplar and Highland store in Memphis. As of 2:30 Eastern, 7 workers have been fired. This is approximately 35% of the workforce at the Highland and Poplar store. Quote, I was fired by Starbucks today for policies that I've never heard of before and that I've never been written up about before, said Nikki Taylor, a shift supervisor at the Poplar and Highland store. Quote, this is a clear attempt by Starbucks to retaliate against those of us who are leading the union effort at our store and scare other partners. Starbucks will not get away with this. The entire country will be outraged. Starbucks partners were inspired to unionize and launch their campaign on Dr. Martin Luther King Day because they are carrying on Memphis workers' tradition of fighting union busting and seeking social justice. And for whatever this is worth, the Tennessee Democratic Party, tweeted out, nice tweet. This is illegal. Workers have the right to organize and form a union at Starbucks. These workers have even fewer protections than they would in other states because Tennessee is a, quote, right to work state. Thanks to the Tennessee Republican Party, we support Starbucks Workers United. Okay, so we got the tweet from the Democratic Party of Tennessee. I mean, this is pretty blatant. It seems that Starbucks, I don't know all the details, coming up with some bullshit reason to say they breached company policy, yada, yada, yada. What are your thoughts? Because obviously there's now 60-something stores that have filed a union. So Starbucks is kind of doing whatever they can, I guess, to slow down the momentum, intimidate. What's your takeaways?
I fully suspect that what's going to end up happening is that these guys are going to have to take legal action. They're going to have to take them to court. There's no getting around it because corporations are going to do everything they can to shut down any form of workers cooperating together in fighting for their own benefits. And I don't believe a nascent union, a brand new union, will have the chops with having someone coming in there to really help them overcome this, because they're hitting them now while they're weak, while they're just getting started, quite purposefully, right? They don't want to see any kind of traction here. So without having something like that, they're going to keep getting fired. This is it's almost impossible to prove that they did something illegal, that they did something. First of all, it's a right to work state, so they don't even have any rights. I mean, they're literally an at-will employee from day one, so they don't really have any need to even tell them why they're fired. They could just let them go. I mean, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and I also think from Starbucks' perspective, because you have to think about the corporate villain's perspective, even if in the short term, let's say they lose or they have to pay whatever fine to the National Labor Relations Board. When we say illegal, these corporations never actually go to jail. So look at the entire banking, all the banks that literally tanked the global financial system. No one went to jail. They paid fines. So I think what Starbucks is viewing it as is, all right, whatever. We'll just break the law here because there's no criminal penalty for corporate villains. Whatever, maybe there will be a fine, but the benefit will be greater because we'll be able to chill the workers and all these other Starbucks stores that are just starting to get going, starting to get that solidarity feeling. I mean, Colin, if you have the tweet, Texas is on the map. 68 Starbucks stores in 20 states have now filed to unionize. So this is Texas is now a Texas Starbucks is now filing to unionize. That makes 68 Starbucks stores in 20 states. So I really think what Starbucks is trying to do is chill these workers in other states. I mean, not all those states are right to work. Some might be a little more fertile ground to a unionization can, but let's be real. Even Democratic states. I mean, we live in the United Corporations of America. The Democratic states are not like, yeah, PRO-act, unions. They're sending tweets in support. So to me, that's what's going on here. Starbucks is trying to, whatever, we'll deal with the consequences of breaking the law here. If we could put the fear of God in our associates, no, they call them partners in other cities.
Yeah, I mean, how many other places are unionized? Would you say 60, 70 or something to that effect?
68 have filed now for a union. They're now filing
exactly.
for the union.
They are like public enemy number one to that corporation. They are going to do everything they can to send every possible message they can that if you do this, you're going to be out of work. And a lot of people, we already talked about that yesterday. A lot of people cannot suffer through being out of work. They're going to literally be put to the test day one. So I hope they're smart enough to have mutual aid and things like that set up on the back end, be working with other groups, mutual aid organizations, so that they can get through these lean times while they're trying to get off the ground. Because that right there will kill it dead in its tracks, because they'll break rank quick, especially those people that don't have anything saved up for a rainy day.
Well, I guess you could put this in the mutual aid bucket, Colin, if we have it. But since this news broke, I mean, there was a GoFundMe launched for the fired workers. Let's see. It was launched a couple hours ago, maybe. Let me check it out here. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, this was launched 4 hours ago, and they've already raised almost $17,000. So from 486 donations, Colin, if you could drop that in the super chat, if our viewers want to donate. So, I mean, it's sad that in the United Corporations of America, if you're fucked with cancer or you're fucked with insane medical bills or insane COVID hospital stays, you have to resort to GoFundMe. It's sad that when you are illegally fired at a company like Starbucks, you have to resort to GoFundMe. But I would say, hey, this is something decent. I would expect that number is going to keep going up as this gets more, well, it's not going to get massive corporate media attention, but hopefully more attention among independent media, this and that. So this is a form of mutual aid and solidarity, saying, hey, the masses are with you, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, the cash is one thing, but people need to be able to have like food support as well. I mean, there needs to be, the food drive. There needs to be other things like clothing and things like that, because I mean, I have no idea what a Starbucks worker makes, and because I know it varies widely depending upon what region of the country they're in. But regardless, though, I mean, you've got to make sure people have what they need. And that it really is, if you've ever been on a union line yourself, like as one of the people, the pressure you feel to both support the workers, support your fellow union people on one hand, while simultaneously looking back at your family and knowing that they need you to make money. They need you to feed the kids. They need you to do these things, and balancing that out. I mean, there needs to be some real serious forethought. Maybe this is something that the activist community could take upon themselves to reach out to these people and build stuff like this, because this right here, I know for a fact. I mean, I remember sitting there both as a management employee at Verizon and a union craftsperson at Verizon, both sides of that game. And when the time came for me to go on the strike line as a strike captain, sitting there, you watch the people cross the line. They're good friends of yours. They're people that you've had over to your house, and you know damn well that they're really struggling. They're not just doing it because they're greedy. They're doing it because they don't have any options. And so thank God our union was supportive of everyone, even the people that crossed the line. We knew there were going to be people that did it, and we didn't judge them. We fought for what we stood for. But those few that had to cross, we kind of understood their situation. But when you went into management, that was a weird thing. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting back into the bucket truck with your tools on, and you're watching the people that you used to work with that you're now manager of, watching them give you the finger and tell you to F yourself. And just knowing that you have to go over that line to stay employed yourself, because management is at will as well, right? These aren't rich people. Management, what you take a look, I bet you managers don't make much more than a regular service rep somewhere. I mean, they're not rich guys. These people are making sub six figures. They're not making big money. So they've got the same issues too. And they got a gun to their head that if they don't cross the picket line, that they're going to lose their job. So the interesting thing would be to redefine what I think labor is, and remember that anybody that has to go to work for a paycheck is labor. And that means management as well as craft. And somehow, if we could put together that kind of mutual aid to bring the management forces into the fold, I think you might really, really be able to change this country.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you missed it yesterday, we got exclusive footage leaked to us. So Starbucks is just straight up firing these folks. But Amazon in Staten Island, which I've been on the ground covering this for almost a year, these Amazon workers in Staten Island, New York, it's a massive warehouse, size of 15 football fields. After almost a year of organizing, they finally won. They didn't win yet, but they at least won the right to hold a union election. So they got their union election date to be determined. And now, because they won the right to hold the union election, Amazon has started back up with the union busting meetings. Colin, we might not play the whole thing, but let's play some of it, because yesterday I got footage from one of these mandatory union busting sessions where the general manager of this Amazon Staten Island warehouse, interestingly enough, is demanding that the union organizers leave the union busting meeting. Here we go.
We also know that you understand that if you make us leave the room, that's a charge against Amazon. Is this a non-work area? All right. Is this a non-work area? I think I said it 3 times already. Can you answer my question, Felipe? 3 times. If you were not scheduled to be in the room for this particular meeting, I asked you to leave the room. We don't have it. Yeah, we're staying. We're staying. Not leave the room and be in support. We're staying. Felipe, we're organizing on our non-work time, non-work area.
So basically, and again, that footage was leaked to us. You could watch the whole video. It's up on the channel. It's about 2.5 minutes. But basically what's going on there is the executive at Amazon's trying to get rid of the union organizers, because they want to hold the union busting meetings without the union organizers to push back on their propaganda. They want direct access to the workers that aren't part of the union effort so that they could just push lies to them. So that's what's going on here. Whether Starbucks is just straight up firing workers, Amazon, by the way, has fired at least one worker that I know of who was part of the union effort, but they're just basically trying fear, intimidation. You heard in that video, you are being insubordinate because they refuse to leave a union busting meeting. All they were doing was trying to sit in the meeting so that they could push back or offer the alternative view of the union busting. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, the fair and balanced. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. It is disgusting. That guy right there, the dude up front, probably makes maybe $3 an hour more than the people that are in front of him. He probably doesn't make much more than that. And he's just sitting there. Somebody said, at the tip of the whip for the master, just sitting there cracking it, and worth it. But man, oh man, this is standard stuff, and it's disgusting. So I hope that this is kind of like a wake-up call, not just because everybody isn't unionizing. So if the people that are listening to this were to pull together and find a way to help those people out, I mean, I'm serious. This is a great opportunity to test our mutual aid skills out and to really start organizing, not for electoral politics, friends, but for this kind of thing. This is where you're going to get the real bang for the buck. I think that we really need to start putting our foot on the gas pedal for that, Jordan. I don't think there's any way around it.
And by the way, I just want to give a shout out because, by the way, we got that footage. So we, Status Coup, broke that story. We broke that footage. It's on Twitter. I think it's got almost 600 retweets now, that video. So that kind of reporting, we need you to fund it. We need to grow our funding. To tell you the truth, folks, I was having a conversation with Colin. I shouldn't say this. I'm going to have a brain aneurysm pretty soon if I don't get an administrative assistant. God bless administrative assistants out there, but I need help. I need funds to hire somebody to help me with scheduling, to help me with bills, to help me with logistical things. I spent 2 hours today going through old bills, things that fell through the cracks, not because it was not my fault. I need somebody to help me booking guests. I need somebody to help me with logistics with those guests. There are so many things that go on behind the scenes that I'm doing myself while trying to plan live streams, while trying to report, while trying to break stories. My head is going to explode. My wife is actually worried about me because she sees how stressed I am. So please, if you care about me and Status Coup, please sign up. $5 a month. That's all I'm asking. If it's not within your budget, that's fine. If you have $5 a month, we have other plans, $10 a month, $20 a month, $179 annually. Please, 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 I'm begging you. Please sign up because we need a whole lot of things. But first and foremost, I need somebody who can help me with administrative stuff. I'm not an organized person. So when all of the administrative stuff is falling on me, it's not a good thing. And Steve, you could tell because you and I have spoke offline how stressed I am.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't do a lot of the stuff that you do, and I know that I am stressed booking for Pod, booking for this, booking for Rogue, trying to manage everybody in the organization. Just insane. Just insane. So I can only imagine what it's like being a one-man band like that. Well, you got Colin in your team, but still.
Well, Colin's already doing 50 things at once too, so I can't really ask much more of Colin. Anyway, but please sign up. By the way, let me just give shout outs. Welcome new Status Coup member Noel. Welcome new Status Coup member EG. That's what it's listed. And welcome new member Rhett. So that's 3 new members today. Let's get a couple more while we're live. By the way, keep those super chats coming. I'll read them at the end. Super chats are welcome. Members even more welcome. StatusCoup.com/join. I'll promote it a little bit later. Steve, real quick before I bring on a guest on the just incredibly infuriating and tragic Amir Locke police murder, we just mentioned Amazon. So how much do you think in general an Amazon corporate person makes?
I don't know. What do you think? Probably 100,000 a year.
160,000.
150
is the average. 160 is the average for an Amazon worker who's in corporate and tech. So, of course, they can't live off that. They can't live off that, these Amazon corporate and tech workers, while the actual warehouse workers that are actually producing the labor and making all the money for Jeff Bezos to put his dick, shuttle his dick rocket to space, they are pissing in bottles, shitting in bags. I've met ones that are homeless. Well, it's been announced Amazon is raising its base salary to $350,000 for corporate and tech workers. Amazon will raise its maximum base pay for corporate and tech workers to $350,000 from $160,000. The move is intended to bring Amazon in line with competitors like Google, Facebook, Apple, and Microsoft, and to help ensure the company retains employees and recruits top talent. The war for tech talent has seen average tech salaries exceeding six figures for the first time last year. So what's interesting about that, let's juxtapose that. Now you have Jeff Bezos is literally in the Netherlands, okay? Thousands of Dutch vow to pelt Jeff Bezos' super yacht with rotten eggs. Have you heard this? So
Yeah.
Dutch preservationists said they will bombard Jeff Bezos' super yacht with rotten eggs if the city of Rotterdam follows through with reported plans to dismantle a section of a 140-year-old bridge to make way for the Amazon founder's 500 million vessel. So on one hand, we have Amazon tech and corporate workers. They weren't making enough, so now we're going up to 150 grand. Excuse me, 350 grand for them. And Jeff Bezos needs to destroy a historical bridge to get his yacht through. I want to remind everybody, let's play a clip from my interview with an Amazon worker a couple months ago. Here's how some of the Amazon workers in New York are living. PR that Amazon puts out there, you get all these commercials that are rainbows and sunshines, and they're helping people through school, and it's wonderful being an Amazon worker. Well, there's a lot of people that are homeless Amazon workers.
Right. At last count, there were about over 100 cars in this outside parking lot and the inside parking lot, the covered multi-layer lot behind me. And they're there 24/7, including on the holidays, like on Christmas and New Year's Day when there aren't that many people here. They're here 24/7. And I feel for them. I'm one of them. So, we try to advocate, and I'm trying to hook up people with other people so that we can do roommate situations and share expenses and stuff. That also plays into the fact that hourly workers, mostly black and brown employees, do not get promoted. They just don't get promoted. They're not given interviews. Everybody in there in these buildings plays favorites. You have to be a young white male fresh out of college in order to get into a management position here. And it creates a huge us versus them situation in there because a lot of those kids are very spoiled, very racist, very sexist, and they're constantly targeting some of the best employees that Amazon has in there.
You said you're one of them, so you're currently homeless working at Amazon?
Currently am, yeah. I have been homeless for the past, 2.5, almost 3 years that I've been here now. And I haven't been able to afford a place. None of my family's out here. It's mind-boggling because the rest of the country is thinking, well, she's making more than minimum wage. How come she can't afford a place to live? Well, it's because there's no affordable rent out here. And we don't make enough, and we don't get promoted. I've been with the company since 2017. I have an AA degree. I've trained literally hundreds of people since I've been in Jersey and New York, and I've applied over a dozen times for positions at the next level, Tier 3. I can't even get an interview. That's ridiculous. And for me to have to work for people half my age and answer to people half my age who have no experience here and really are really disrespectful to the workers, it's beyond frustrating, really beyond frustrating.
So, obviously, economic justice. Amazon corporate and tech workers, they were really struggling at $150,000 a year, had to boost them to $350,000 a year. Jeff Bezos, he's not wealthy enough. We have to dismantle historic bridges to get his super yacht through. And now, I don't see the actual John and Jane worker at Amazon getting any boost, while the money, their hard-earned labor, more of it's going to. And by the way, I'm not saying like corporate and tech people are evil people. I'm sure they work hard. I'm not saying they're awful people at Amazon or elsewhere, but for them to get whatever that is, that's almost double the pay, while Amazon workers are getting pittance. It's outrageous.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is standard though, right? If you can get a worker doing what she's doing, I'm speaking as a capitalist here, folks. I'm speaking as the man here, right? If you can get those kind of workers on the cheap, you're going to do it, because what is that? That is capitalism. That is business 101. Whenever you can pay someone less, pay them less. And ultimately, the problem is the competition for the IT sector is a lot more steep. There's a lot more competition. So what do they have to do? They have to keep it in line with the competition. So they raise those prices up. This is why unions are so damn important. If you don't have that, you're not going to have anything, because their goal is to always maximize profit. And you got no leg to stand on if you're in the path of the profit making machine. You've got no chance. So you need a union. Got to have a union.
But at least
fuck Bezos, by the way, with the bridge. I mean, sorry, excuse my French, but fuck Bezos, really. I mean, take your damn dinghy underneath the bridge. You don't need to take the goddamn yacht through there. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, at least we're building back better. At least the economy is booming. At least GDP is up. At least the stock market is doing wonderful. Because that's what I hear. So apparently the economy is booming if you're a tech or corporate worker at Amazon. All right, Steve, I'm going to come back to you in a little bit. I want to turn to a very, very serious topic. I am glad to have Georgia Fort. She is an independent journalist out of Minneapolis. Really impressive bio, so I'm going to read some of it here. Georgia Fort is Georgia Fort. Let me, if I can find it, is a two-time Emmy-nominated journalist. She was one of two journalists in the courtroom for the sentencing of Derek Chauvin. Her reporting has been published on CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS. Her mission as a storyteller is to change the narrative by amplifying truth, citing diverse sources, and contextualizing social justice issues. Georgia, I really appreciate you taking the time, because I know you're all over the place covering the protests of Amir Locke's murder. I wanted to just ask from a basic level. Amir Locke, who was 22 years old, sleeping on a couch, it was a no-knock warrant that a SWAT team rammed through the door, kicked the couch that he was sleeping in. By my viewing the video, I mean, he was a legal gun owner, but I mean, it doesn't even look like he had time to even know what the hell was going on, because it was early in the morning. This happened less than 2 years after George Floyd. This happened, I believe, less than a year after Daunte Wright. Can you kind of talk about this? I mean, I guess it's a basic thing, but it just seems like it's deja vu over and over and over in Minneapolis. And we're getting lip service, in my view, from the mayor, the police chief, and the usual suspects.
Yeah, well, first of all, Jordan, thanks so much for having me. It has been a very tense time here in Minneapolis over the last week. Tomorrow will actually mark 7 days since Amir Locke was fatally shot. And we've seen thousands of people out in the streets protesting, demanding that Officer Mark Hanneman be terminated from his position. In addition to that, the way that the interim police chief, Amelia Huffman, and Mayor Fry have handled this police killing, now communities demanding that they either be terminated or resign from their positions as well. And so the big question here, because we are in the center or what was the epicenter for police accountability following the murder of George Floyd, the question everybody is asking is what's changed? At a moment when the entire world was watching, we know that there were international protests that happened after George Floyd was killed, and the world was looking to Minneapolis for two things: one, fundamental change, and then two, a blueprint for a way forward with policing that would produce more equitable outcomes. And it appears that you look at not only Amir Locke, but Winston Smith, which didn't make national headlines. He was killed after Derek Chauvin was sentenced, but before Kim Potter's trial happened. And so you have Winston Smith and you have Amir Locke and all of the other names that most people don't know. Why does this keep happening? And what is being done from political leaders, from those at the police department? What is being done to prevent this from happening again? And we have not gotten a serious answer to that question. And even the answers we have gotten have proven to not be true because it keeps happening.
Right. And another thing, I mean, let's not forget Breonna Taylor was a no-knock warrant. I've interviewed her aunts a few times in Louisville, Kentucky. The police originally lied about that. Minneapolis police originally lied about what happened with George Floyd. They said it was a medical incident. You correct me if I'm wrong, but initially after Amir Locke was murdered, I believe the interim police chief said they believed that he was pointing a gun at officers, even though the video, as far as I could tell, does not show that. And the other thing is, separate from the no-knock warrant, I mean, you look at that video, first of all, Amir Locke was not the subject of that search warrant, but B, they rammed through the door and immediately kicked the couch. And it's like their immediate thought is force. It's not, kind of going in, in a de-escalated fashion, not, announcing yourself to be clear police. So people will be able to get their kind of wits about them at early morning. So it seems like it's not just the no-knock warrant, it's the absolute Rambo force they're using as they get in there. Because I think most people sleeping, it takes you a few seconds to kind of get your wits. You don't know who it is that's ramming into your home.
That's right. Well, I think what I have observed in following most of these killings and the court proceedings that follow, what I've observed is a culture that lacks transparency and a culture that lacks accountability within the Minneapolis Police Department. And the way that the department works together hand in hand with the media to perpetuate a narrative that is almost always in their favor, right? Immediately following. And so what we have to start to do, is the folks who are defending these actions and these deaths, how do we break through the noise and get them to see that there's cover-ups that are happening, right? And I know for some people that feels like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory, but we've watched this played out. I mean, the facts and the evidence are there. I'm a journalist. I'm looking for fact-based evidence to report on. You can go and Google that original press release about George Floyd. John Elder, the Minneapolis Police Department's public information officer, put that press release out where he said that George Floyd died from a medical complication. You saw the footage. We all saw the footage. We know that's not what happened. Additionally, you watched the trial and that is not how the judge ruled on the case. So it was a lie. And what is the consequence for public officials who lie? Where is the accountability? And so I think that we have to truly start to examine not just when officers use fatal force and whether or not it's justified and whether or not they should be charged criminally. We also have to examine the standards and the process and the practice that follows these killings that have allowed them to happen historically. And because now these things are coming to light, because now we have, at least here in Minneapolis, 2 public accounts of when the Minneapolis Police Department has lied, just blatantly lied, right? That's documented, that now we should be questioning other cases that have happened in this city. And there should be a serious consideration of reopening previous cases where the Minneapolis Police Department used fatal force. And I know other people in other cities will say the same thing is true in their city. And like you pointed to the example with Breonna Taylor. And so if this isn't just an isolated thing that's happening just in the Minneapolis Police Department, but we have reports and stories that are coming out of several large cities across the country, then we have to start to admit as a nation that we have a national crisis here with public safety and policing that has to be addressed.
Right. And I'd also want to point out, beyond just the police, it's kind of, I mean, Minneapolis activists, residents, community members, they worked to ban no-knock warrants. And by the way, Louisville activists did the same thing. So the question is, why are they still executing no-knock warrants? Why was this executed? They say it was part of a separate homicide investigation, but what is the role if activists are continually petitioning their local government, their state government, to ban these kind of, I mean, not that no-knock warrants is the only problem here, but that's the mechanism they're using. But the police are still able to do that, then it kind of, from a local community activist member, just a Black person in Minneapolis, it must be hopeless and infuriating because they were pounding the pavement, getting signatures to get that on the ballot. Can you kind of talk about the no-knock warrant aspect of this?
Well, I think it's devastating, to be honest with you. The criticism we hear about people who continuously protesting, I mean, there is no shortage of criticism. Oh, you guys are just out there again, protesting doesn't make a difference. Why are you guys showing up at people's houses? These are some of the responses that I hear from the public when I am just simply covering some of these protests, right? But the reality is I have observed more progress from people showing up and demanding change than I have from people organizing, knocking on doors, getting signatures. The truth of the matter is, George Floyd, and even if you look at with Dante Wright, okay, there were probably 4 or 5 protests that happened at Pete Orpit's home, who was the county attorney who was originally assigned to charge and try Kim Potter. Well, he had very low level charges. Protesters showed up at his home and showed up at his home and showed up at his home. And guess what happened? That case got handed off to the attorney general, and there were more charges that were brought forth. That was a trial that was not going to be televised, but protesters showed up at the judge's home. Within 72 hours, she signed off on allowing the trial to be televised. So we have seen, even with Mike Freeman, when he was deciding whether or not to charge the 4 officers involved in Floyd's death, we have seen progress. We have seen people in positions of power take action as a result of people coming out and protesting. On the contrast to your point about policy change, some of the same organizers and community leaders also did go and get more than 15,000 signatures on 8 bills that they had drafted. And what we've heard from them is the bills that passed were watered down. And then a lot of them didn't get the votes that were required. And so how can we have people who are in position of power, political leaders who influence policy, how can they in one breath say that they want change? They don't want to see another police precinct burnt down. They don't want to see businesses destroyed. But then in the other breath, they're not listening to the people who are organizing on these issues. They're not listening to the families who have lost a loved one to police violence. They're not listening to organizations like Communities United Against Police Brutality, which has been researching and collecting data on police uses of fatal force for more than 20 years. Both things cannot be true. If you really want change, you're going to have to work together with the people who are leading on this issue. And we have not seen that happen. The last thing I'll add to wrap this up, because I know I've said a lot on this, but it's very important. People are losing their lives, right? If we reflect back on the civil rights era, you'll see that even when America did have policy change, even when segregation was outlawed, it still took years before integration actually happened. And so I'm reflecting on those times because they're very parallel to what we're experiencing today. And so I think that even though it's been about 2 years almost since George Floyd was killed, I think that we still have a long journey before we actually see change in this country.
And last question, I know the mainstream media, they have this little, booklet that you're not supposed to show emotion and you're supposed to be a robot, even though they're all biased, in my opinion. But I wanted to ask for you, I mean, it's got to be incredibly frustrating. I mean, you're a journalist, but you're also a human covering the same thing over and over again. And it's almost like, yeah, different people are being killed, but similar circumstances, similar non-action, similar woke language from state officials and, frankly, the Democratic Party federally. For you, what is it like covering these things? Because you're trying to do your job and get the facts out there, but it must be incredibly disheartening, infuriating, and even scary for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of very difficult experiences following these stories. I started covering police killings before George Floyd. And it was something that I knew was significant. Many people do not know Kimberly Handy Jones, who lost her son Cordell at the hands of the St. Paul Police Department in 2017, I believe. She was calling mothers from all across this country to come to Minnesota years before George Floyd was killed. Mothers whose children were killed by police. And could you imagine 2-3 years before George Floyd was murdered, mothers whose children were killed by police were gathering here and they were sharing their stories and they were building community. And this happened year after year after year on the anniversary of her son's death. Right. And so this is not a new issue for me. This is something that I covered before the world was ready to reckon with its police problem, before the world was really ready to accept the fact that maybe police departments aren't credible sources. And so, yes, it's exhausting because this is a fight that I've been following for 5-6 years, but I also live in a Black body, and so does my husband, and so do my children. And so if I have seen a piss poor job by mainstream media in covering these stories, and I am a journalist and I'm in a position to change the narrative, I have to, it's my responsibility to cover these stories. That's what motivates me to keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when I'm getting hit, with a rubber bullet. I've been shot by the police. I've been tear gassed. I've been maced. I've been attacked by people who don't want cameras in their face, people who look like me, who are grieving, and so it is a challenge. And you do grieve. When you hear the stories of these families and you get to know their children who they're grieving, you do grieve with them. But what is the alternative, right? Like people, ask me, how do you do it? How do I not do it? How do I not show up when I know what our community is up against, when I know what our nation is up against? This is not an isolated incident. This isn't just happening in Minneapolis. Right. Look at the number of police departments that are currently being investigated by the Department of Justice. And these are not unsubstantiated claims. These are not accusations that are far out there without actual facts and evidence and proof to back them up. These are things that, we're watching with Amir Locke play out in real time. He was called a suspect and he wasn't. Photographs of his gun were published without the context that he's a licensed gun carrier. The narrative that was put out was that he was shot during a raid without the context that he wasn't listed on the warrant. So when you tell partial truths, you're telling a lie. You're misleading the public. And it's very disappointing that we're here and we're repeating the same mistakes. And so if the public doesn't want a response like we had after George Floyd, there has to be some disruption in this system, in this process that continues to criminalize and dehumanize Black men and women.
Couldn't have said it better. myself. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know people don't realize like you're running from one protest to another. I've been there. It's exhausting, and then trying to go on shows. So thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Georgia Fort. Everybody follow Georgia. She's on Twitter at by Georgia Fort. Georgia FORT. We'll put her Twitter in the super chat, in the chat, and you could also go to georgiafort.com. Appreciate it. Let's stay in touch.
Thank you so much.
Take care. So that was an independent reporter in Minneapolis covering this. Steve, before we get on to a hard pivot to something a little lighter, any thoughts on that? Turn on your microphone.
I was trying to. There we go. All right. Listening to her reminds me of something that a guest of mine in the past, Lua Kamal, and she said, nothing is going to change until white people are ready to lose something. And I believe that to be true. I mean, you see this at election time. A lot of people are gung-ho, 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 and then they cave. They don't hold the line. They're not good. They wouldn't be good on a strike line. That's for damn sure, right? But that's the God's honest truth. Black people need us, but they need us as allies, and they need us to be willing to lose something to allow them to have a voice and to be frontline and front and center and speak their truth. And, we see far too many people that they're good for it as long as there's nothing to lose. But once there's something to lose, they're gone. They're not there. And so I think it's really important to understand that the way that we can really help out is to be willing to lay ourselves down and really prove that we're serious about ending this violence. And I think it's going to come down to white people being willing to lose something. I really do. I think it's going to take that kind of level of effort, because you see, nothing has changed. And she said it, you said it, nothing has changed. It's like wash, rinse, repeat. Pretty much, quite frankly, all the stories we cover are wash, rinse, repeat, because literally it's not going to change on its own. It's going to require us willing to lose something to gain something.
I also think, I won't go too long on this because I want to do one more topic and you got to go soon.
Yes.
I think it also comes down to white people, black people, brown people, all people, hitting them where it hurts, and that's their fucking wallet. If we could somehow, maybe it's not a general strike tomorrow, but if we could start economically affecting big business, because, by the way, the police serve capitalism. To be clear,
yes,
the police, I've seen it at Standing Rock. The police are there to serve capitalists, business, government, not
private property.
Private property. So if we could come together for some type of mass economic protest on behalf of all, not just racial, but economic exploitation. Remember, Martin Luther King Jr., they killed him when he started talking about unions, socialism, and justice and jobs. Not just not just civil rights, the dollars, the capitalism, socialism, that kind of stuff. So I think we need to do a lot more, because frankly, I didn't want to say this to her, but as a white guy, it's been frustrating for me. I've covered so many Black Lives Matter protests. I'll continue doing it, but it kind of gets to a point where you're just marching around in the same circles, chanting the same stuff. I'm not trying to tell black activists how to lead their movement, because it's their movement, just like I wouldn't tell indigenous activists or LGBTQ or, transgender or whatever. It's not for me to tell you how to lead your activists, but to lead your movement or your activism. But for me, as a journalist, I feel like, all right, rinse and repeat. We're just covering the same stuff, marching in the same streets, same chants. But the government and the capitalist class, they'll let you march because they don't really feel a long-term threat. And that long-term threat,
right,
the only thing I could think of is economic boycotts, a general strike. And that general strike could have a lot of focuses: economic exploitation, income inequality, starvation wages, and police terrorism. Because that's what this is. It's police terrorism. Steve, I know you got to go soon, so I'll try to squeeze this in. It is a very, very hard segue to do this, because this is a really serious topic, Amir Locke. But I want to move on, because there seems to be, to me, a CNN cover-up going on. And that is fun for me to cover. There seems to be a CNN cover-up going on. By the way, smash the like button if you haven't. We have almost 300 people watching. So I don't know if you followed, but CNN's. Oh, by the way, sorry. Before I do that, I want to give a shout out because we got another new member. Did you hear me say I need you to sign up as a Status Coup member? Welcome, new member. Julie just signed up, and Noel. So now 1, 2, 3, 4 new members today. So keep signing up, statuscoup.com/join. So CNN's president, Jeff Zucker, who a lot of people don't know this, Jeff Zucker, in a large way, created Donald Trump. When Jeff Zucker was at NBC, he is what gave you The Apprentice. He brought Trump to NBC.
Oh, wow.
So Jeff Zucker was the NBC executive that kind of got Donald Trump that landing spot on The Apprentice. I would say Donald Trump would have never been president if not for The Apprentice and, his used car salesman rising in notoriety. So Jeff Zucker recently resigned from CNN very abruptly. It came out that he was having a consensual affair. So no, whatever. He was having an affair with his number 2 executive. So he was the president and CEO. He was having an affair, I guess, with the vice president of marketing. It doesn't seem to be like too much of a power difference because she was his number 2. It's not like he was having an affair with like a low-level person. Anyway, I don't really give a shit that he was having an affair with this woman. Doesn't matter to me. But it's come out that his resignation, although it's been depicted as because he had an affair with a subordinate and didn't report it, because I guess Warner Media, who is the parent company, their policy is you have to report if you're in a romantic relationship with a subordinate or whatever. Let's read this. This is from the New York Post. Yes, it's from the New York Post, but others have reported this too. What Jeff Zucker's resignation could mean for Chris Cuomo's potential CNN payout. Chris Cuomo isn't likely to get much more than half of the $18 million he's seeking as a settlement. Oh, poor baby. Only half of the $18 million he's seeking as a settlement in his feud with CNN now that Jeff Zucker has resigned. Zucker fell on his own sword in an effort to keep a possible Cuomo lawsuit against CNN from seeing the light of day, sources have told the New York Post. The ex-CNN chief was named multiple times in a draft of a suit, which hasn't been filed. So again, Chris Cuomo, who's out for bloody murder, he was fired from CNN for basically working for his disgraced governor brother while pretending to be a journalist on TV. So he got fired from CNN and he's going for his full contract, which is $18 million. So here, the New York Post is reporting, and others have reported this too, that Zucker really resigned to avoid this lawsuit from being filed, which might have shown even worse things. Zucker's resignation came as part of an agreement hammered out with AT&T chief John Stankey. Sources say AT&T owns
John
Time Warner and
Stankey?
CNN. Yes. Under the agreement, Zucker would leave CNN without a fight, and Stankey would settle with Cuomo, sources said. That way, Cuomo's potentially damaging additional accusations about Zucker would be kept from the public, these sources say. Well, what could those additional accusations be? According to an earlier report from the Post, Zucker and Allison Gollust, that's the vice president of marketing that he was having an affair with, the colleague with whom he is romantically involved, had an ethically dubious relationship with former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Zucker and Gollust would coach Governor Cuomo on his now infamous COVID briefings, telling him what to say and how to respond to criticisms from President Donald Trump to make more compelling television. There's the cover-up. So to be clear, Allison Gollust, who is apparently Jeff Zucker's whatever girlfriend, I don't know. Before she came to CNN, she was a major, I think, his spokesperson. So she worked for Governor Cuomo. So she goes from Governor Cuomo to Chris Cuomo or CNN. And apparently Zucker, the CNN president, and his girlfriend were basically as the heads of a news outlet working with Governor Cuomo to do his little COVID briefings. Kind of a conflict of interest, Steve. If soon after Governor Cuomo was doing his made-for-TV COVID briefings, and I lived in New York City at the time, it was must-see TV. I thought they were fairly informative, but the media was slobbering all over Andrew Cuomo. Remember, they were praying that Biden would drop out and maybe Cuomo could step into the Democratic primary.
The Cuomo-sexuals.
Right. But Steve, it would be very interesting if Zucker and Allison Golis, so CNN, was working with Governor Cuomo for his press conferences, because wouldn't that kind of indicate maybe there's a reason CNN didn't want to cover the fact that Governor Cuomo was covering up the amount of seniors who died in nursing homes? Wouldn't it be kind of indicative if they were basically doing PR for a government official, Andrew Cuomo, why CNN would have Andrew Cuomo on to pal around with Chris Cuomo? Remember that that graphic where Chris Cuomo put the giant nose thing up his brother's nose as Andrew Cuomo was literally sending seniors sick with COVID back to nursing homes? It came out after the fact. They undercounted the amount of deaths in the nursing homes, I think by half or 50%. I don't know. Is it a cover up, like a police cover up? No. But is it a cover up of, it kind of exposes that our mainstream media, the most trusted name in news, are basically doing PR for government officials?
The Clinton News Network is alive and well. I mean, as you were reading that, it reminded me of you on the floor of the DNC with Donna Brazile, a much smaller, much non-death oriented thing, but the same exact thing. I'm pulling for Chris Cuomo now. I want Chris Cuomo to bring hell from above. I'm going to be rooting for Chris Cuomo to make these guys have to out all the bullshit in the background now, because this has got to be a juicier story. It's just like the iceberg, right? There's this huge story beneath the water, and we're just getting this little teeny tip, and he's just resigning. I'm praying Chris Cuomo gets really ballsy and really pushes forward for this. That would be absolutely. I'd actually tune in to mainstream media for a minute to watch them try to do that theater. I think that would be worth the price of admission.
But I want to be clear about something, Steve, because we're having fun. But if Jeff Zucker and Allison Golis, the vice president, whatever, they're having an affair, if they were briefing with Governor Cuomo before his press conferences, what other government officials are they talking to? What other corporate CEOs are they talking to? Who else are they palling around with that they're supposed to be holding accountable? To be fair, it's not just them. I mean, MSNBC, same shit, different day. Morning Joe basically hangs out with politicians like Joe and Mika. They're not holding anyone accountable. They're all friends with the same government, the same politicians, corporate CEOs. They're trying to have. Remember, Chris Christie was lying about the bridge. Joe and Mika had him on palling around. So, but this is a major problem because we are in a never-ending information war, and this kind of drops the curtain. Who else are our journalists basically colluding with to deprive us of real information, to deprive us of cover-ups, to deprive us of name your pick of what they're covering up?
Leni Riefenstahl is blushing right now. Let's just leave it at that. Leni Riefenstahl is blushing. I mean,
can you tell me in the audience who the hell that is?
Oh, come on. Leni Riefenstahl was the chief propagandist for Adolf Hitler. She's the one that gave you the strong chin, the flags, all the great Nazi propaganda crap that you saw back in the day.
Steve, I need to put a disclaimer. YouTube algorithm. We are not doing anything about Hitler or Nazis. We are anti-Hitler, anti-Nazi, not anti-Nazism. There is no pro-Nazism here. Disclaimer. He is just referencing a propagandist. Go on.
It's a reference, yes. I mean, but this is literally propaganda. I mean, you realize there's like a wall. There is a true balkanization of us and them. And that is one big fat corporation. You got it right. When you talk about the United Corporations of America, this right here is the PR department. There is the fake legislative department. There is the fake judicial department. There is the fake, all these things. It's all one big Schadenfreude. That means fake bullshit that is out there right now. And like I've been saying this, and it gets a little bit more each time we talk, but I'm at a point now where watching some of this stuff unroll, it really is like the Truman Show. It's like just bullshit. I mean, it's almost impossible to take some of these stories seriously anymore, because the only reason why it's even coming to light is because somebody told on somebody, or somebody got thrown under the bus. They were the patsy and they said, I'm not going to fall for you all. That's the only reason why you hear about it. I mean, it is just complete theater.
Right.
It's
And by the
worse
way,
than reality TV.
There's multiple red flags here and crimes of journalism. Number one, Chris Cuomo was making $18 million to be a fucking PR stooge for his brother on CNN and to hold him accountable when he did no such thing.
Yep.
That's number one. These people make obscene money to basically lie to you, to basically push bullshit narratives, and on we go. Number two, again, I don't think it's a small thing. Why would Jeff Zucker, why would Jeff Zucker resign because he was having a consensual affair? I mean, I poo-poo it. You didn't report it that you were having it. You didn't report that you were having a romantic relationship. But we're talking multi-million. We're talking about millionaires here. Jeff Zucker being president, that is financially lucrative for a lot of people. President of CNN, I mean. Chris Wallace from Fox News is reportedly irate because he left Fox to go to CNN's little streaming platform for Zucker. So it never made sense to me. Why is he resigning? Because he had an affair, a consensual affair with somebody at work. All right, pay, 1 week suspension for not reporting it. So when you look underneath the hood, it makes sense. No, he probably resigned to avoid any of that lawsuit from going to court, Cuomo's lawsuit. And I would venture to guess Cuomo's going to get more than half. He's probably going to get the full thing, because it doesn't seem to me. I mean, I'm not praising him, but it seems to me that he is a bull in this retrospect to try to get every penny, and he will continue. Because, by the way, that was obviously leaked by Cuomo and his lawyers of the affair between Zucker and this and that. But I would love to know more details, because I think we need to drop the curtain on how corrupt our media actually is. The actual conversations and relationships between our journalists, our news executives, and governors, congresspeople, corporate CEOs. Who the hell knows who else? So yeah, we'll see what happens. But it's definitely.
I'm not in the hot take business. I'm not in the hot take business. I'm not in the hot take business. Let me say it again. I'm not in the hot take business. But I got to tell you, watching Ozark here recently, I've been watching Ozark on binge at night, and just watching the offshore accounts and thinking about the Panama Papers and stuff like that, you can pretty much guarantee that Zucker, if he did step down like this, there's something that won't show up on the ledger of the normal balance sheet that pays out that. There's something in an offshore account that will pay him his full salary. That's why he's willing to be a patsy for CNN, so that the CNN doesn't go down, and they'll pay him full, but you just won't see where the money came from. I again, hot take, but
absolutely,
I could see that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Steve, for joining us today. We're going to be talking offline, because we're going to try and figure out a way to have Steve a little bit more under the Status Coup umbrella. So if you like Steve, hopefully you'll like seeing him more. So thank you for joining us. I know you got to go do dinner and stuff.
Sir.
We'll see you again next week.
All right. Take care. I
forgot. Real Progress in Action. Go subscribe to Real Progressives. That's Real Progress in Action on YouTube. Tell everybody Real Progress in Action and your other shows.
Yeah. So, I'm the founder and CEO of Real Progressives, which is a 501c3, and Real Progress in Action, which is a 501c4. Check out my show, The Rogue Scholar, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon on Real Progress in Action. And the podcast that I do is called Macro and Cheese, and it comes out every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. You can get it on any single podcast platform you want. Go to our website, realprogressives.org. And thank you guys so much for supporting us and supporting me. And please support this guy, Jordan, because he does some great freaking work, man. And Jordan, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good one. Before I go, a few reminders. Please don't go anywhere. Few reminders. Number one, if you are a subscriber, which I hope everybody watching is a subscriber, make sure you have clicked the bell next to the subscribe button. Click that bell and set it for all notifications. if you believe you already set it for all notifications, go back, because a lot of times when you set it for all notifications, for some reason, it's been unset from all notifications. We really want to make sure as many of our viewers as possible have that bell clicked for all notifications. I'm probably going to be repetitive, but I'm going to start reminding people every single day, because we obviously want people to know when we're live. We want people to get the notifications when we're live. So please, please, please make sure you have clicked that bell, all notifications. Make sure you go, if you've already clicked it, go back and make sure, because sometimes you click all and it's on some or none. That's number one. Number two, I'm also going to be aggressively, and some people don't like it, but I got to do what I got to do. Aggressively be pushing people to sign up as Status Coup members. We need to expand. That's period, end of story. We need to expand. And as a result, the way to expand is through you. We don't take any money from big banks. We don't take any money from fossil fuel companies. We don't take any money from Democratic or Republican Party donors, big pharma, big real estate, Silicon Valley. Our funding is from you. To be honest with you, it's really been tough. It's getting tougher and tougher for me, because I don't have an administrative assistant. I don't have a producer. We have some help in terms of marketing, but we could use more help in terms of marketing. And we'd like to hire other hosts. Unfortunately, there's just too much on me, and it's not sustainable for me to be reporting, handling administrative stuff, handling logistics, handling booking guests, handling producing segments, handling a whole lot of other stuff that I don't want to bore you with. So please, if it's within your means, you could become a member for as low as $5 a month. That's 16 cents a day, $5 a month. We have other plans. You could become a member for $10 a month. You could become a member for $20 a month. We also have an annual level where you could become a member for $179 annually. As a member, you're not only supporting us, but we do a monthly Zoom call with our members. We also do behind the scenes videos just for members. And we have a members only Discord channel. So please, please, if you can, please sign up. Please sign up as a Status Coup member. It really, really makes a big difference. If we could keep signing up, 5 to 10 people a day, that will allow us to bring on at least one more person in the short term. We kind of have had like highs where we, hit a good streak, particularly when I've been on the ground, where if I get on a bigger show, like I was on with Crystal and Kyle a couple months ago, when I was on the road covering the John Deere strikes, covering the Buffalo Starbucks workers union drive, covering India Walton's election. When I was able to get on a bigger show, we got like 60 to 70 new members in just a few days. Most recently, when I broke the Flint water cover-up story in The Guardian, and I was able to get on a bunch of bigger shows, we were able to get over 100 new paid member signups. So we're getting new members all in big chunks, but then when those kind of big hits are over, whether I'm on the ground or the Flint story, it kind of goes back to, here and there, getting a couple a day, this and that. We really need to start getting as many members as possible every single day. And I'm going to ask you straight up, and I'm not beyond begging, what is $5 a month worth to you? What is $10 a month worth to you? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm just being honest, we have had to slow down. We have had to slow down on the ground reporting because we only have so much money. So I got to pay Colin. I need to make something. We brought on 2 freelancers to help with marketing, analytics, kind of getting more traction to the YouTube channel, because obviously you've seen we've been dealing with suppression for years. So we're trying new things to get more eyeballs and traction to the YouTube channel. But we're kind of at a point now where, I'm just being honest, we're kind of breaking even in terms of how much our overhead is per month versus how much we're taking in. And that's breaking even before talking about $3,000 to $4,000 for a trip, because just any trip to go anywhere at a basic level for a week or so costs $3,000 to $4,000, and that's on the cheap. If you're, a cheap rent a car, relatively low, inexpensive hotels, that kind of thing. So I'm just asking you genuinely, so that this can continue. I'm just telling you straight up, so that we could continue at Status Coup, we need to grow our membership quickly, and we need to grow it significantly. So if this matters to you, if on-the-ground journalism matters to you, if investigative journalism matters to you, if covering Flint water crisis, union busting, strikes, other worker exploitation, Black Lives Matter protests, these kind of things, if this matters to you, if we did not exist, seriously, imagine that. If Status Coup did not exist, do you think you could find what we're doing elsewhere? I'm not asking you to, cancel your things to other places. But what I'm asking you, if you've been on the fence or you've heard me pushing, but you never quite signed up, what is this worth to you? Because at the baseline, I'm asking you for 16 cents a day. I'm asking for 16 cents a day because we really need to grow. We really need to grow, get 500 to 1,000 new members to actually be able to expand. We need like 500 to 1,000 new people. Even if they were at $5 a month, that would make a big difference. By the way, if we're, I don't want to get into such details, but we are trying to get larger funding. Well, if you're trying to get larger funding, like an investor or something like that, it really helps to show, hey, this is how many paid members we have. This is how much consistent revenue we have per month. So our goal is to get larger funding, not from corporate scumbags, but progressives or people who are aligned with our mission. So please, and I'm going to continue. And for those who say stop asking for money, go fuck yourself, because you don't know how hard this is. You do not know how hard it is to actually be independent. You don't know how hard it is. That's probably not a good strategy, telling you to F yourself. I apologize. You don't know how hard it is to fund on-the-ground reporting, fund a team, and do it without massive funding, without corporate sponsors. It is really hard, borderline impossible to do it. So please, if it's within your means, I am going to ask every day. I am going to be pushing this. Please support us. Any level, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 annually. And by the way, you don't have to agree with every single opinion of mine. You don't have to agree with every take of mine, but I hope you agree. That we need actual independent journalism, not just commentary, but actual investigative reporting. That video we broke yesterday of the Amazon union busting. Do you see other outlets getting that video? The Flint story I broke a few weeks ago for The Guardian. See a lot of independent outlets breaking those stories? No. Do you see a lot of independent outlets going, trying to cover Amir Locke? If it were up to me right now, if I had a team, I'd be out there in Minneapolis covering the protests. Right now, I can't do it because, like I'm saying, money is tight. I'm just being completely transparent and completely honest with you. We have been going for 4 years. We've been able to cover a massive amount of stories all over the country. Colin probably doesn't have it right now, but we have a map that shows all of the places we've been able to go to. All of the places we've been able to go to and cover on a shoestring, but there you go. Look at what we've accomplished in just 4 years. Look at all the places we've been able to go to on a shoestring budget. We did that through small dollar memberships and a GoFundMe, which, by the way, we still have the GoFundMe going. We still have our GoFundMe going. So if you're already a member, you could chip into the GoFundMe. The other day, we got a $1,000 anonymous donor. Colin, if you have the GoFundMe too, that we could show. The other day, we got a $1,000 anonymous donor. I found out who it is, and I emailed him and thanked him. So we're trying to raise more money in the GoFundMe. We've raised $179,000 over 4 years. But as I always have to say, we have spent a lot of that to cover look at the map. We have spent a lot of the money that was donated from GoFundMe on reporting all over the country. So if it's within your means, I am genuinely, sincerely asking you, pitch in statuscoup.com/join, statuscoup.com/join. I apologize in advance if every show you're going to hear this spiel. But if I don't advocate for us and I'm not asking you, we're not going to get there. You know, some people say, oh, you know, Kyle doesn't beg or they don't beg this and that. Well, I love Kyle. I'm a fan of Crystal and Breaking Points. I'm a fan of all these people. They don't have the budget. They don't have the overhead we do. I'm just keeping it real. They don't. They do not have the overhead that we have. We have a much larger overhead because of the travel. By the way, just so you know, I'm just dropping the curtain. Just so you know, if we don't travel at all, if we don't leave the studio for a month, we are the live view that we use. It's 100. The data plan and the server. It's costing us $600 a month just to use LiveView server. LiveView is the broadcasting unit we use when we travel. The LiveView server plus our data plan. It's $600 a month. If we don't travel, we got to pay it. Okay. The text service that we use, which by the way, if you've noticed, we haven't sent out text messages this week. We're trying to pull back on text messages because just the text message service we use to text you when we're live, that's $400 a month. There's a lot of costs. There's a lot of costs to this that you don't know about. Plus the on the ground reporting. That a trip costs us $3,000 to $4,000. And then even if I don't go somewhere, paying freelancers if they're reporting for us places. We have not taken a dime of corporate money in 4 years. We have not taken a dime from a Democratic Party or Republican Party donor, from the banksters, from Big Pharma. I say that so you know, we have done this the hard way. And it is the hard way. It's also the right way, but there's not a lot of people doing it this way. And we did not have the benefit. We launched this in 2018 after YouTube changed its algorithm to screw us and other independent progressive outlets. You think it's a coincidence that one of the only outlets that actually reports on the ground is one of the most suppressed outlets on YouTube? So I'm not beyond begging. I am begging you, if it's within your means, sign up today, like right now, statuscoup.com/join. Even if it's at the lowest level, $5 a month. And if it is within your means, we have a GoFundMe. If it is within your means to provide other funding, reach out to us. info@statuscoup.com. info@statuscoup.com. If it's within your means, because I appreciate the small, of course. I mean, we've had some people that have been really, really amazingly generous. We've gotten people that have donated $1,000 here and there. We've gotten, in one case, the largest GoFundMe contribution was $5,000, I think 2 years ago. So if it's within your means, GoFundMe. And thank you. We have a few people signing up as YouTube members. Whatever works for you. Our top preference is for you to sign up through our website, and that's at statuscoup.com/join. But if you want to sign up as a YouTube member, that's fine too. YouTube takes a bigger cut of your membership than our website, but whatever is easiest for you. The point is, get some skin in the game to support Status Coup. Here's what I need. I need to hire an administrative assistant like 4 years ago. I'm to the point of like burnt down to the bone. I am dealing with billing. I am dealing with scheduling guests. I'm dealing with viewers who reach out to me, pitching stories. I can't tell you how many viewers have reached out to me, pitching stories over the last 4 years. It's all going through me. I don't have help. I'm dealing with, we're a company, so we got to pay taxes. I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with, I don't want to get into it, but dealing with other companies that we might join. We were on Rockfin for 6 months. We're talking to another company right now. That's all going through me. There's a lot that you don't know going through me. And you could ask Colin. I literally, when I talk to Colin, I'm literally just, it's almost like I'm a passenger on a train that has left the station and I have no control. I don't mean that for a pity party. What I mean is I'm not, I would say reporting and journalism right now is 50% of what I'm doing. I'm doing another 50% that I really need help. So the administrative tasks, the reaching out and scheduling guests. I mean, while I'm live, I have guests reaching out to me that I had reached out to, getting back to me to schedule. I don't know if you know this, but I pretty much produced the live stream. So I'm sending Colin all the articles, all the clips, this and that. Be very helpful if I had a producer to do that for me. If I want to take an on-the-ground trip, I have to scout that, meaning I need to find out where do we want to go, reach out to people in those communities before we go, because you don't just show up to places without anything lined up. So I need an administrative assistant, I need a producer, we need marketing help, we need more money just to travel. And frankly, I'd like to hire, if there is such a thing, another me. It's not going to be like me, like my style. I'd like another on-air person, a reporter, and somebody could do live streams, because no company. To me, one of the biggest mistakes TYT made was Cenk never really cultivated anyone but himself. He never wanted to elevate anybody but himself. I'd like to bring on another reporter, on-air person, to both do reporting on the ground, but also do live streams from time to time, have their own show on Status Coup. It costs money. So please, if you can, statuscoup.com/join. And if you're already a member, please, if you're ever in a fraternity, a sorority, do a little recruitment. Pitch your friends, pitch your family, sign up. They don't have to be capital P progressives, but if they care about stories about the controlled demolition of the working class, the United Corporations of America, water contamination, government cover-ups, if they care, ask them to sign up. StatusCoup.com/join. Did I miss anything, Colin? Come on board.
Miss anything before you wrap up the stream, you mean?
Well, what I'm trying to get at, and I wanted to ask you, is we're basically all stretched very thin and we need help. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. And like you were saying, basically any amount helps, because like you were saying, just like little things like the live view, that's $600 a month. We just need 3 people or so to sign up as an annual member, and suddenly that cost is covered for an entire month. And suddenly we don't have to worry about that. That's less stuff off our plate, having to constantly be last minute worrying about costs and if things budget right and everything. So just for that simple thing, even where is what Jordan's talking about, where he says like every little bit genuinely does help in the grand scheme.
Right. And it's also the type of thing. Let's say I want to go on the ground somewhere. On the ground somewhere. Well, the YouTube channel needs to keep moving. We need to keep content going out, because we need to keep trying to bring new people to the YouTube channel. So if I go on the ground, I don't have a backup to me. There is no backup to me. I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I just don't have a backup to me that could go live every day while I'm on the ground. I would try, obviously I go live when I'm on the ground, but we also need to cover news of the day. It's very hard in this YouTube climate, Colin, you would agree, to just be on the ground and be covering one story, and that's all you're covering for a week, because the stories we generally cover on the ground, YouTube's algorithm does not prop them up. So we want to get to a point where we could have both, where I'm on the ground, but we also have a backup to me to kind of do news of the day kind of stuff. So we have the mix of the on the ground reporting and somebody holding down the fort, news of the day. We also, Colin tries his best, but Colin's editing, he's doing graphics, this and that. I really could use somebody to help me put together the live streams. So I could tell someone, hey, here's the topic so I want to cover, find the articles, find clips, a producer to put it together where I don't need to do it myself. There's so many different things we need, and there's so many fixed costs. There are so many fixed costs. So if it's within your budget, of course, anything you could do. $5 a month is our most popular level. The $10 a month definitely helps. The $20 a month is super helpful. $179 annually. Whatever is best for you. We don't want to make your situation any tougher. If it's a squeeze for you, that's fine. So definitely sign up. StatusCoup.com/join. And by the way, during this spiel of mine, we've gotten a couple signups. So thank you. Michael just signed up. Jason just signed up. James just signed up. Sheila just signed up. Travis just signed up. So that's 5 new members during my spiel. Thank you for signing up. So Michael, Jason, James, Sheila, Travis, they join. Julie, Noel, E, Rhett, and Pat, and Rachel, and Paul. So today we've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 new members today. So that's what I'm talking about. If we could start getting 9, 10 people every day, we'd be in a really, really good position. We'd be in a very, very good position if we could start getting, I mean, I'd love more, but if we could start getting 9 to 10 a day, that is huge for us, because then you're talking, I can't do math, Colin, 9 to 10 a day, that's 10.
9 to 10. Are you trying to figure out the money side of it?
No, that's the math. So 10 a day, How much is that per month?
10 a day is a minimum of $50 a month, which like you just went over with the live view, you could see just after several days, all of a sudden that's covered. Several days after that, something else is covered, or someone's entire monthly pay is covered. A lot of things like that just by maintaining that. And you could see how quickly that could cascade into something like being able to finally hire someone to help Jordan out and stuff like that, if you keep at that pace for just a month or two, for example.
Yeah, so 10 a day at like $5, that's 10 times 5, that's $50 a day. You times that by 30, that's $1,500. So an extra $1,500 a month could definitely help in terms of, I could probably get someone at least part-time for some of that administrative stuff. But if we could start getting that consistently, 10 a day, month by month, we're talking actually hiring new people. But we need your help. So please consider signing up at any amount. StatusCoup.com/join. We would prefer it if you sign up through our website, StatusCoup.com/join. I've seen a couple people have signed up here on YouTube. That's fine too. Just know when you're signing up from YouTube, they do take a little bit more money of your membership than our website does. So whatever floats your boat. And of course, we really, really appreciate the GoFundMe contributors. We just got Cooper just donated $5 to the GoFundMe. Anonymous just donated $10 to the GoFundMe. Another anonymous donated $10 2 hours ago. So we're almost at 180,000 raised on the GoFundMe. I, again, have to preface, this has been over 4 years. So we don't have $180,000 just sitting there in our GoFundMe. We have spent a lot of that GoFundMe on the reporting. Let me read some super chats, answer your questions, because I've been throwing a lot at you too. So if you have any questions about, our needs or growing Status Coup, feel free to ask. Blackberry White, $5. This is why we need a federal jobs guarantee at a living wage to employ workers at Starbucks, Amazon, Kellogg's, Kroger, John Deere. Absolutely. Roger, tip $2. Hey, JC, I'm holding you to your promise that you will go to Libby, Montana to see how they are enjoying their Medicare for all. More than a decade, enough time has passed to see the long-term effects of it, be good or bad. Please don't just jump in and jump out. But I'm hoping you stay there for a couple months to get to know the people. Do you know how many other content creators will use your footage, man? Roger, thank you for the $2 tip. You probably left this tip before I just went on this long monologue begging for help. So yeah, it's really hard at this point staying anywhere for a week funding wise. So unless something magically happens or a huge bank vault of cash drops out of the skies, we can't stay anywhere for months, unfortunately. But Libby, Montana is on my radar right now, though. Like I said, money is a little tight, so we got to pick and choose where we go, this and that. But Libby, Montana is definitely on my radar because they, unlike Flint, they have Medicare for all because they had an environmental catastrophe and an asbestos crisis. It killed a lot of people, and they got Medicare for all. What's the difference between Libby, Montana and Flint, Michigan? Libby, Montana is 96% white. Flint, Michigan is 53% black. You do the math. Libby, Montana. Not that Libby, Montana should have gotten Medicare for all. We should all get it. But it is on my radar, Roger. If you have money to fund us to go to Libby, Montana for a couple of weeks, feel free to get in touch with us. info@statuscoup.com. We are totally open to people with larger funding if you are not a corporate scumbag. If you have larger funding and you want to talk, info@statuscoup.com, info@statuscoup.com. Jay Sharp, $10. Stay strong, and thanks for staying on my hometown, Flint. Absolutely. I'm going to stay on as long as I can. Das Bosch Fleiss, 4.99 euros. When I was younger, I got my impression of America from watching TV. Your channel shows me a different layer of America. Hopefully, we show you the real America rather than whatever patriotic bullshit TV gave you. D. Nord, member for 2 months. Status Coup, great show as always. Thank you. Yolanda, new member, just signed up as a YouTube member. Thank you. Gene Zebak tipped $5 on Rockfin. Thank you, Gene. Geo just signed up as a new member on YouTube. Thanks, Geo. Don Kihaki just signed up as a new member on YouTube. Welcome. Ramiel just signed up as a new member on YouTube. So we are getting some YouTube member signups. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To be clear, totally fine. But if you're going to sign up, our preference is through our website, which is statuscoup.com/join. You totally fine to sign up as a YouTube member. We do earn some revenue from that too. We just earn a little less revenue from you because YouTube takes more of your membership because YouTube likes to take more. So thank you for signing up as new members through YouTube as well as through our website. I don't want to miss anybody. Did we get anybody else? Oh, we just got Janice just signed up and Juan just signed up. Woohoo! So we got Janice, Juan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 new members today. Holy cow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow. I can't thank you guys enough. This is what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If we could start getting these kind of numbers every single day, we will be in a good position. We will be in a really, really good position. So please, thank you to all these people signing up. To anybody else on the fence, please, if you can. If you don't have $5 a month, I get it. We don't want to make your situation worse. But if you do, please sign up. I'm begging you. I need help. We need help. We need to bring on more people. Another new YouTube member just signed up. So please keep signing up. We really, really appreciate it. Yes, I can use a personal assistant for a lot of things, including math. So thank you. Let me read any other comments, questions, concerns. Oh boy, we just got a $50 donation to GoFundMe. Thank you, James. Just left $50. Yes, the GoFundMe is open for business, folks. The GoFundMe is open for business. Can you talk about misleading job posting salaries, Jordan? Sure. What do you want to talk about? There's plenty of misleading job postings for sure. 222. Yes, you can be a multi-member. That's another thing. Chris Garrett and a couple others, they're members on our website. They're members on YouTube. Some of them are also patrons. That's not for everybody. Not everybody could sign up at 3 different places, but if you have the means, you could sign up through our website, our Patreon, and on YouTube. So we really appreciate everybody. And, a lot of other outlets, talk is cheap. They talk, they ask you for money. And what do they do with the money? Not much. We have shown you what we do with your funds. We have reported on the ground all over this country. We have done major investigative stories on Flint and other things. We have hired freelancers around the country to cover things. So we're showing you. The multi-member support is very cool. Yes. Rockfin too. Absolutely. I don't want to miss anybody because we're getting significant help here. Tony just signed up. Woohoo! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 new members today. Holy cow. Where have you guys been? Thank you so much. We got 13 members through our website. We've gotten a bunch on YouTube too. So this is really awesome. I thank you. Ramiel just signed up as a YouTube member. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 new YouTube members too. So this is awesome. Hey, we got some momentum, so I ain't signing off yet. Keep signing up. I'm staying on for a couple more minutes here. Yes. And by the way, if you have any questions, if you have ideas for us, how we could get additional funding, if you possibly want to help us out in bigger ways, email us, info@statuscoup.com, info@statuscoup.com. You could email us there, if you have ideas or anything like that. We really, really appreciate your support because we do need ideas and we do need help. I mean, we want to grow through our membership, but if there are progressive-minded people out there that have bigger pockets and would like to fund something like this, I know if we had, I firmly believe and know if we actually had funding and could hire a team, the sky's the limits for Status Coup. I really believe that because there's so few outlets actually doing what we're doing. There are so few outlets actually doing what we are doing, but we've never really had the full funding. That's always been the problem. So, double-edged sword. So, and as I told you, we are currently, while trying to grow new members, because we don't have enough members and enough revenue, we've had to cut back on some areas. So we haven't sent out the text message, for example. We've kind of paused our text message service, which is almost $400 a month, because, we're just trying to cut areas that we don't absolutely need. The text service helps because it goes to people on our text message list. So when we go live, they get a text message, but we're trying different things. We're trying to see how big of a difference does not texting make in terms of audience. It's definitely making a little bit of a difference in terms of less of an audience because not everybody's getting notified. So that's why we keep pushing you. Make sure you have selected all notifications. All notifications on YouTube. Make sure you have clicked that bell and chosen all notifications on YouTube. We're going to remind you at the beginning of the show and maybe a couple other times during the show. Because if we could get that number up right now, about 10% of our subscribers. So figure that. Right now, about 10% of our 127,000 subscribers have clicked all notifications. So we need to get that number up too. We need as many people as possible. When you after you subscribe, click that bell and hover over it and click all notifications, because obviously the numbers are, our numbers suffer when people don't get notified. So make sure you have clicked all notifications. If you think you clicked it at one point, go back and look, because I can't tell you how many people have told me, oh, Jordan, I looked. I clicked all notifications, but it's on no notifications. So funny things happen on YouTube. Funny things happen on YouTube. All right. Let me see what I got here. Oh, Dan just gave a $20 tip on Rockfin. Hi there. Hi, Dan. Thank you for the $20 tip. Really appreciate it. So you could tip on Rockfin. GoFundMe donations are appreciated. And, I remember it might come down to it, Colin. I don't want to do this because I'm really trying to set some work-life balance. It might come back down to doing more of those fundraising marathons that I used to do on Sundays. I might not do it on Sunday, but it might come back down to doing more of those marathon live streams where we're live for 2 hours, 3 hours, and try to grow our membership, GoFundMe through that. So thank you for the tip. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody before I go. We got all those super chats, all those members. And by the way, if you didn't sign up as a member right now, you could sign up anytime, statuscoup.com/join anytime. In addition to membership, you could also get Status Coup merchandise at our store. We just added 3 new shirts to our statuscoup.com/store. There's the United Corporations of America shirt with the dollar signs. We also have the Fossil Fucker shirt, which is my personal favorite. We also have a shirt with quotes. This is a quote I like to say. Most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no fucking idea what the hell is going on. So that's one of my personal faves. So most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no fucking idea what the hell is going on. So you could rock whatever shirt you want. Right now, our most popular, Colin, which is our most popular? Is it the United Corporations of America shirt?
Yes, by far that's the most popular. I think, I believe the Fossil Fuckers is the next one up. But this one, people seem to really like, to the point that I was telling Jordan, we even had people getting it who aren't even like Status Coup viewers, just naturally came across the shirt and liked it and got it. So glad that you guys are liking that. And
by the way, it's a perfect gift for your neoliberal aunt or your Republican uncle So it doesn't need to just be for you. You could get it for your neoliberal aunt or Republican uncle. You could get it for your dog, whatever size that would fit for you. And that's another great way for us to earn revenue. And by the way, Colin, our shirts are sustainably sourced. So we're actually, there's, I think, 1 or 2 trees have already been planted by the amount of paper that was saved. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can pull it up right here, but or maybe I can't remember where it's at. But yeah, it actually tells us. I'll have to go over it sometime. It's kind of cool, but because they use sort of sustainable packaging, different things like that. It actually tells you based on the products you sold, how much like carbon emissions you've saved, and then for every certain amount that we sell, they plant a tree. So it tells us how many trees they've planted and stuff, which is kind of just like a neat little thing I thought was kind of cool.
Absolutely. We just got another new member. Welcome. Linda just signed up. So that's 14 new members. Wow, Colin, I should have started begging long ago. Apparently, if I beg hard enough, people get the hint. Thank you, Linda, Tony, Janice, Juan, Ty, Michael, Jason, James, Sheila, Travis, Julie, Noel, E, and Rhett. So 14 so far today, including the new members on YouTube. Thank you for the super chat. $5 from Ramiel77. I signed up via YouTube and your website. I think what you guys do is important, and we need you to keep going. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not going to lie to you. It does get a little disheartening sometimes when you see, just all these YouTube channels that are covering, shall we say, more fluffy things. Maybe more hot take or reactionary things. And they're getting a ton of views because that's what YouTube rewards, more of this reactionary hot take kind of stuff, where we're covering workers being fired, Amir Locke being executed by police. When we're breaking stories like the Amazon union busting, the video that we just broke yesterday that now has 600 retweets on Twitter. By the way, if you're not following at Status Coup, follow us on Twitter at Status Coup. That's one of our most recent tweets, has the video showing an Amazon general manager literally demanding that union organizers leave the union busting meeting. They wanted to get the union organizers out of the meeting so that they would have just direct access to the workers that are on the fence about the union, so they could push their propaganda to those workers who haven't made up their minds about whether to sign up for the union. Get rid of those Amazon union organizers who are going to actually push back on the propaganda. So that video, we posted it on YouTube last night. So that video is up. You could watch the full video that takes you inside that meeting of the Amazon union busters. But thank you to everybody that signed up today. If I got to beg every day, that's what I'm going to do. I hope you don't mind. Really, really appreciate. We need this. If we could start getting these kind of numbers on a daily basis, that will get us over the hump to hire new people. And by the way, that is how and let me be clear, an actual independent outlet survives and grows. Because there are outlets that call themselves independent. Look who's funding it. Okay. But an actual bootstrap, on the ground, investigative, actual independent outlet, the only way I know for it to grow has to be the foundation has to be you, paid members, small dollar. We're not asking you for $500 a year, but small dollar memberships. If we could build that foundation and grow that significantly more, then a lot of things will flourish from there, including hiring more people, traveling to more places, hiring a producer, hiring marketing help, maybe even having an advertising budget. So please, anything you do, really appreciate it. I'm probably going to get off now because I think I read all the super chats and comments. So thank you. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, we just got another one. Ed just signed up. Holy cow. Colin, every time I want to sign off, we get another new member. It's kind of crazy. Ed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wow. It's fucking awesome. 15 new members today, including adding on more people signed up via YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you know, I'll also add, I've been doing this since 2015. So I'm going on 7 years of doing this. I'll tell you straight up, if I had a percentage, 75 to 80% of the reporting I've done in places around the country, whether it be environmental stories, whether it be economic stories, whether it be racism, whether it be police brutality, whatever it was that I covered. Colin, if you could put the map back up. All these places that we went, I would say 9 out of 10 times, there was no other media on the ground covering it. The activists that I spoke to, community members, residents that I spoke to, literally told me we can't even get local media in these places to cover it. I'm talking police protests, couldn't get local media out. I'm talking fights against pipelines. They couldn't even get their local media to come out. I'm talking exploding homelessness, mass evictions, Breonna Taylor's murder cover-up. Of course, the Flint water cover-up. Couldn't even get local media to cover it. So it's not just that we cover these things. It's there are so few others covering it. So if we cease to exist, not that I don't mean that we're so amazing, but if we cease to exist, I got news for you. We're in deeper trouble than we already are. We're in much deeper trouble than we already are if Status Coup didn't exist. Because can you name a long list of independent outlets going out and still covering Flint? Going out to the Amazon warehouse and covering the union busting and the union organizing campaign, going to Iowa and Illinois, covering the John Deere strikes on the ground. I mean, I could go on and on of all the things we've covered. You know what, Colin? What the hell? Can you get that promo video that's on the homepage? We don't need to play the whole thing, but let's show them to remind people our 2020, the reporting we've done. I could keep saying it, but we should remind people of everything we've covered. We won't play the whole thing, but just so they could get a little tip of the iceberg to what we're talking about here. Let's remind people of all the things that we have covered. This is, by the way, just in 2020. Colin, if you don't have the video, let me know and I'll find it for you on the homepage.
Do you mean 2021?
Yes, 2021.
Congratulations for always being somewhere where mainstream media is not.
I mean, it really has, to me, has been an economic Hunger Games that's being depicted by corporate media that happens to take advertisements from companies like John Deere as the wealthiest country on earth, American dream, work hard. Can you kind of talk about the disconnect you felt in these conditions working at John Deere while you were getting less and less, but it's depicted much differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it all. Look, corporate media controls the narrative, and that's what's fed to people every day.
Talk about the threat beyond you to people fighting these pipelines, this pollution, and this greed and evil.
What's happening to me is a new fossil fuel industry playbook.
What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I am fixing to be homeless. And I never dreamed in all my life I would ever be homeless.
You know, Joe Biden, proclaims to be the most pro-union president in history. Where's he at? Where's he talking now?
Joe Manchin has been the thorn in the side of West Virginians for decades.
We're just a number to them. We're as replaceable as a light bulb.
We are now over 7 years past this catastrophe in Flint, where residents, many of which are behind me, were poisoned.
Go all the way back to the media now. They're not there for us. There's no one there for us. We're all here struggling and nothing's being done.
You're not talking about like residual scars from 6 years ago. You're talking about stuff you're getting now.
This is in the last 24 hours. You know, I always talk about how to get away with murder. Ask Snyder, ask Nussel. They're all helping him do it.
She was very family oriented. She light up the room when she comes.
Oh, and they wanted to get rid of her pension.
Oh,
So like, yeah. So like all the senior nurses, not only are they're not getting the wage, their pension is being frozen.
You're currently homeless, working at Amazon?
Currently am, yeah. I have been homeless for the past, 2.5, almost 3 years that I've been here now. And I haven't been able to afford a place.
This whole sordid, crappy affair is completely illegal.
Hey, yo, stop it!
Unmask them! Unmask them!
Fuck you!
Unmask them!
Literally private property all over the fence, even though I believe we're on a public sidewalk. So in Amazon's world, it's private property.
Our elected officials, both of mine, Shelley Moore Capito and Joe Manchin, has just like always, like they did with the minimum wage raise, ripped the people out.
Corporatist politicians like Nancy Pelosi are telling us we have to wait longer.
We are now living at a time where a generation must rise up, not out of anger, but out of survival.
And Eastern Kentuckians in general are hardly ever afforded the opportunity to tell our own stories.
I end up getting a call from work in March, and I was evicted.
I be wanting to snap off, I be wanting to go crazy, because it's destroying me, and there's nothing else to do. But I hurt, I cry every night.
We're back to normal. Well, I'm going around, and it seems like we're just back to the shitty normal that's only getting worse.
If back to normal means we're back to being underpaid, it means we're back to being worked like dogs, it means that they're back to harassing homeless people, you can keep your fucking normal.
She did not say, okay, I'm going to go to be a doctor, and this is something that I'm just going to have to do. I'm going to have to come in here and do this. She did not. She signed up to be a night sorter at Amazon. She had no business COVID testing.
Corporate media had us believing that we're just lucky to have a job. We're lucky. If you're still at a place that still offers insurance and you're not paying, you're lucky.
Seconds. It's not minutes that your time off task starts. They track you down to the second.
And the houses are pretty nice, pretty big over here, as opposed to the east side, which is fairly poor, less signs in general. But you can see vacant lots. Vacant lots.
It's not that they don't like the public to come up, it's like they're so busy and the way that they go about things is just like
right to block the public from coming up.
I'm pretty sure the Flint Journal knows about it. Broke it in the Detroit Metro Times and The Intercept on Governor Rick Snyder's administration. Their phones were deleted right before the launch of a criminal investigation. Health officials' phones had no messages on them. The governor refused to hand over key documents. I mean, to be honestly, I know you guys know about it. I don't know why you're not reporting it.
I will point out that all the officers here are white.
Joe Biden, you said that if we get you into office, we elect you into office, you got our back. You said, black community, I got your back.
I don't understand why they're here. I don't understand why they have to do all this because one of their people decided to kill somebody.
Fucking kidding?
Seriously?
They can go home and
okay, we're ready. Leave the area, guys.
All right, everybody's
gotta move.
This is the perfect physical manifestation of why we need to defund the police.
But the right thing to do, the morally just thing to do is to bring relief to people. And God knows that people all over this country are suffering. About 140 million people who live in poverty or poverty adjacent. And those people are black. Those people are brown. Those people are white. Those people are indigenous. Those people are Asian. Poverty touches all.
You know, it's amazing to me because we're seeing strikes happening all over the country is workers who have been, exploited and beaten down. They're kind of saying enough is enough. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
I think what we're seeing across the country is, even though some workers' wages are viewed as high, it's not really keeping up with the cost of living. And then they look at the corporate side of things, where executives are making hundreds and hundreds of times what a line worker does.
They counted on people not being able to fight back. And we figured out a way through grit and struggle and tenacity and the support of so many people.
It seems to me there is some hope. I'm not saying this will overthrow the system tomorrow, but what do you think about, like, workers are kind of finally saying, well, what else do we have to lose?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it is workers are becoming more informed, with sites like you, social media, people getting their message out, and just, the climate right now.
It's also bringing us closer together as a union, as a group of people.
It's the workers going out there and making this work. It's the old adage I used to tell when I would sit in on negotiations. I go and I trade my labor for a wage. You're not giving me nothing. I'm making that wage.
Listen, you can't unite with someone who don't want to unite with you. So you have to be willing to really fight and do what you need to do when you have the majority.
Not every day is going to be a good day, but the victories that we do have, we definitely amplify them.
Democrats have basically tried to straddle the line where they're more woke and not verbally as offensive as the Republicans, but their policies basically leave these same people to fend for themselves.
Same story, right? It's the same story every time. One's just like, one's read like a horror story and one's read like a fairy tale, depending on your eyes. But it's the same ending every time. Like we know how this book ends.
I mean, the struggle is what makes us stronger. I don't have a lifetime of government experience because I've worked actual jobs.
A type of liberation that transcends all understanding. That having universal health care is a type of understanding. Canceling student debt is a type of understanding.
How can a progressive combat that going forward to not be smeared out of the race?
I want progressives to be very resolute, and I want us to keep on running because we are winning. I raised $6 million in this race. I was outperforming every other candidate in this race until that dark money came in.
If you care, and you should care, we've been begging you to care, you need to be out here.
I'm telling you that the reason why your life is so crappy is because the person that you voted in, not thinking about it, has been ruining your quality of life. Let's talk about the things that actually matter.
We're trying to change the working conditions not only for Starbucks workers, but hopefully this leads to more people being able to say, enough is enough.
I admire your work, Jordan, on Flint water issue and so many other issues. And I just want to urge people listening to continue to support Status Coup.
That is what I'm asking for. That is why I'm asking you for help. We did all that, and I'm gonna keep it real to you folks. That was all in the year 2021, and it was very expensive. What that is it's expensive to do that. Just a lot of those reporting trips were me and a camera person, sometimes Colin with me, cost thousands of dollars per trip. Even if I'm not taking a full trip, you're just going to the Amazon warehouse, you're just going to cover a protest a day. I gotta pay a camera person a decent wage for a couple hours of their time. So the reason I'm asking you for your support is so we could keep doing this. If we haven't been on the ground as much, in large part because there's been a massive surge in COVID. Fortunately, that's starting to go down. I didn't want to go out into a petri dish. I'm trying not to get COVID for a second time. But also, we've been trying to cut back costs if we can because we haven't grown the membership numbers that we need to grow, in part because of the YouTube suppression we've been dealing with. It's hard to get new people to sign up if you're not reaching enough new people. So basically, what we just showed you, that is why my dog is barking. That is why we're asking you to sign up as a Status Coup member. So anything you could do, $5, if you could sign up at $5 a month, thank you. If you could sign up at $10 a month, thank you, thank you. $20 a month, triple thank you. $179 annually, God bless you. If you could donate to the GoFundMe, we'll put the link in the description under this video so you could donate to the GoFundMe. If you have deeper pockets and you want to support us in a larger way, reach out to us. info@statuscoup.com. That's info@statuscoup.com. But every amount helps. Cruz, $20 in the super chat. Hey, Jordan, saw one of your stories on Breaking Points. Checked out the channel. Love your work. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And that's also, it makes a huge difference when channels like Breaking Points cover our stuff because it helps bring people to the channel. So thank you, Breaking Points. They covered the Flint story a few weeks ago that I broke. New YouTube member, Austin Lore, just signed up. Kerry Dane, $5 in the super chat. Thank you, Kerry. Before I sign off, let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 new members to our website today, in addition to a bunch of YouTube signups. So awesome. I'm going to sign off, but maybe we could get another 4 so we could round it out to 20 new members today. I would love you if we could make that happen. Thank you so much. Again, if you didn't see it, let me get the tweet and I'll just put it in the super chat. So you guys, if you didn't see our tweet yesterday of the Amazon union busting, so it's got 643 retweets and 42,000 views. 42,000 views on Twitter. So there's the link. I just put it in there. Click on that, retweet it, like it if you haven't seen that, so we could get that out. We obviously want to grow our Twitter too. But thank you to everybody who has supported today. I'll have to do a couple more live streams just begging for money because it seems to help. But just know I'm begging for the right reasons. I'm not asking you for money so I could go have a nice steak dinner. Trust me, that's not going to happen. I'm asking you to help us because we need your help. If we want to continue this, we need to grow and we need to grow quicker. So thank you for everybody who has signed up today. All the super chats, the Rockfin tips, couple GoFundMe donations, people who signed up as YouTube members. It all makes a big difference. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.